Alright, I've been meaning to do a follow-up on the Bloodborne comics, partly because it was so successful, and partly because the first one I did, and partly because I just enjoy the comics so much. But I'm just gonna address that real quick right here. They're fantastic, but wait for the trade paperbacks for each individual arc, because it seems like there's a delay by a week, sometimes two, versus the posted date. So you're better off just being patient to get into the Bloodborne comics. The second arc, The Healing Thirst, that one should be out soon. I don't remember the exact date, though. Okay. Now, as for this particular comic, the first cover that you saw, that one really caught my eye. It had all the components like this. Got this bitter root, 1920s aesthetics, some steampunk, monsters, a hot chick. So, it looked like some good stuff. And this is well. Here's the problem. The comic hinges on the supernatural, but a lot of the supernatural plot elements are kind of stupid. Okay, let me wind it back. Okay. So, I think at least one of the people who worked on this, they watched Doomed Megalopolis, or maybe even read the book, or saw the live-action movie. Tokyo, the Last Megalopolis, or whatever the book series is called. It's kind of like Forrest Gump, but with more sorcery and incest. Yeah, even more incest than is associated with the South. Yeah, go figure. Now, Bitter Root is set in this 1920s Harlem Renaissance kind of period. And you got this Sangre family. Looks French. Forgive me if I fuck it up. And they got this magic plant that cures people who are possessed by a hate demon. Well, white people who are possessed by a hate demon, because it doesn't possess black people. There's an African tradition about a kind of spirit that possesses not black people, not Africans. They specialize in this thing that doesn't affect them at all, except by virtue of the fact they're around. So they're surrounded by people who can be possessed by the thing. Alright, that in itself isn't the problem. I'm going to get to why that's kind of dumb later. You got we have this setup. We have this tradition dealing with the hate demons. They're running out of the magic plant, but you don't really get a feel for how pressing that is as an issue. You got massive spoilers, by the way. I don't give a fuck. They just tell you that they're running low on the plant, but you don't really notice by how they act. They got this weaponry specialized in killing people possessed by the hate demon, but that works just fine. There's no issue of that stuff running out. The magic plant drives out the demon. So you got this status quo. Then there's this new kind of monster. These people possessed by a despair demon that can possess black folk. And how it's functionally different from the regular demon, aside from being able to affect black people, they're kind of vague on it. Well, not really sure why this is a unique threat compared to the other. In fact, I thought it would make more sense if they had been spending generations dealing with the despair demon among their own community, policing their own. When this hate demon shows up, possessing outsiders and making mayhem, and they'd be like, well, what the hell is this bullshit? I don't know, that would have, doing it in reverse of how the comic actually did, it would have made more sense as far as catching the characters off guard. But it really doesn't matter. Okay. Apparently, the regular magic plant doesn't work when trying to drive out the despair demon, and yet you get no. I might have missed it, and there's some little bit of throwaway dialogue, but that seemed like they properly explain what's so unique about this particular form of possession that they're caught so flat-footed. It seems like they figure out a solution quite readily, and you don't even know if they're taking some kind of risk involved. Now this despair demon shows up when you got this new villain who you get. Alright, to understand this whole Bitterroot thing, I think you got to talk about this whole genre. I just call it black anime. It's like black folks taking the aesthetics, the story arcs, they're just various aspects of what you see typically in anime, especially from the 90s and the 80s. Otherwise, the story, it's really hard to follow. And part of being hard to follow is that the pacing seems really off. For example, there's this one part where the big bad guy, the heroes try to kill him. His subordinate / lover takes a magic bullet for him. They flee. He watches his subordinate / lover die in his arms. He gets all sad. Next page, he's messing with the heroes again. Kind of like nothing happened. Yeah, he's extra pissed about it, but you don't really get a sense that any kind of time passed by. It's like he's there, then he's not, then he's back again. I mean, and you also get this sense that the problems don't really stay problems for long, and it doesn't feel like the heroes actually solve much anything. Okay, for example, you got here's a great example. Now the parents of the rookies, they got sucked into the warp previously, and that's sort of presumed dead. That's talked about early on in the arc of this particular first 5 issues. And around issue 5, boom, the parents are back. They're out of the warp, and of their own accord. The idea is that once you get sucked into the warp, it's a one-way thing. There's no coming out of it. So the fact that the parents got themselves out through no input of anyone on the other side and this side of reality, it feels like false drama. Okay. Now, all these issues aside, it's not completely terrible. The cast, they got a decent variety of characters. Not enough time for each one to really shine and get some development. I feel like they punted on that for a future arc, but it's got this. The comic has a decent look. It's got enough. Aesthetics. The period. Honestly, I wish the comic would take a little time to let the hot chick be hot, and not just the pointless fighting that just doesn't really feel like it moves the plot much, honestly. Well, maybe she's not supposed to be the hot chick, and I'm just giving away what my types are. And the other racial component, that's the zombie, specifically with the possession thing. It's What are you gonna do? That's just the culture as it is, and I mean, the thing is, the comic comes off as very dumb, while at the same time tries to come off as highbrow. Like at the end of each issue, there's a couple of essays. One of them, I think, by someone who works on the comic, and another one you've probably read in school. It puts on the airs when it really should have just been a little more self-aware that it's a dumb action comic with a neat aesthetic. It's not the worst thing out there, but wouldn't blame you for skipping it. Honestly, I'm kind of a semi-ironic reader of it now with that whole revelation about black folks being immune to the hate demon. That's like, oh, come the fuck on there, people. Well, that's really all that comes to mind I gotta say about it. So, have a nice day, and bye.